The life I knew ended yesterday at around noon. I'd never experienced a miscarriage before, and this baby, our second child, was desperately wanted. The grief is so visceral, so raw, that even now, as I try to form these words, I'm weeping. I apologize if my thoughts come out in a jumbled mess. It feels like my world has been shattered into sharp, unrecognizable pieces. And yesterday was also my husband's 27th birthday. I am 26 years old. I was pregnant, 8 weeks along. Just the day before this nightmare began, we sat in a dim ultrasound room in a clinic downtown, and a technician with kind eyes pointed to a tiny, rhythmic flicker on the screen, a perfect, fluttering heartbeat. That image is now a ghost haunting me. Yesterday, I was on the floor of our living room in our quiet suburban house, playing cars with our 2-year-old son, when a deep, insistent pressure bloomed low in my abdomen, a warning. Then the bleeding started. My voice was eerily calm when I called my husband at work, telling him about the discomfort and the blood, a part of me already knowing what was coming but refusing to say it aloud. Soon after, the physical reality was unavoidable. I texted him the words that made it real. I think I lost the baby. I was seeking a lifeline, any thread of emotional support to pull me back from the edge. I asked if he could come home. His response was, "Of course, if it's urgent." Urgent. The pain was intensifying, a cruel cramping that stole my breath. The bleeding worsened. A wave of lightheadedness washed over me, and in a spike of panic, I realized our toddler was in his playroom, utterly unaware his mother was falling apart. We have no family or close friends in this state. We're alone here. I told my husband it was urgent, that I was scared, and that our son needed someone. What followed was a surreal, painful interval. I had to clean myself up, crawl down the stairs on unsteady legs to get pain relievers from the kitchen, force a smile to make my little boy his lunch, and then rock him for his nap, all while my body felt like it was betraying me. My husband, whose office is roughly a 30-minute drive away, took nearly twice that long to arrive. I later learned why. He'd stopped at a grocery store. For beer. He stopped for beer while I was miscarrying our child. The situation spiraled. I became violently ill, losing a frightening amount of blood, dizzy, vomiting. He had to rush me to the emergency room. The hours there were a blur of bright lights, impersonal questions, and a profound, hollowing sadness. We were discharged close to 8 p.m. As we drove through the darkening streets back toward our neighborhood, he broke the heavy silence. Last week, I'd promised to make his favorite meal, a special birthday dinner. He reminded me of that promise. I whispered that I couldn't, that I was so sorry, that he could order anything he wanted, my treat. I heard him mutter, "For fuck's sake," followed by something that sounded an awful lot like, "This bullshit has ruined my birthday." He didn't stop for food. He drove us home in a stony silence, put our son to bed, and I retreated to our room, utterly broken. I have no idea what he did that night. This morning, he was gone before I woke. Not a single text all day. He came home a few hours ago. It's now pushing 9 p.m., and has been treating me like I'm invisible. About an hour back, my hurt and anger boiled over. I tried to talk to him, and when he ignored me, the words slipped out. I called him a disgrace. He responded by slamming our bedroom door and locking me out. Then my mother-in-law texted me. She didn't ask how I was. Instead, she told me I needed to be patient because he's grieving the loss too. She said I was being harsh. So he's talking to her, but he can't speak a single word of comfort to his wife, who just went through the physical and emotional ringer? The emotional neglect is a chilling vacuum. My body feels like a battlefield, and my soul aches. I know the timing was cosmically awful. It was his birthday. But is it? Is the hormonal whirlwind making me feel this unmoored? Or is it actually sane to look at the man I married and seriously consider divorce? Was I wrong for what I said?
And hey, if stories about raw, real-life complexities and navigating unthinkable situations are the kind of deep dives you appreciate, you should definitely hit that subscribe button. This channel is built on exploring these tough human moments. Navigating the aftermath. Let me backtrack and add some context I left out. I'm currently on leave from my job. I'd already told a few close coworkers about the pregnancy in a moment of early joy. Now, I'm paralyzed at the thought of returning. How do I even tell people? Do I just say it? Wait for them to ask? I feel foolish for sharing the news so early, but I need a way to communicate it that shuts down any follow-up questions. I can't bear to discuss it. Every time I do, I fracture a little more. A kind soul suggested telling one trusted person to spread the news discreetly, which seems like the only bearable path. Another urged me to see a doctor and get signed off work. My job involves training new staff, requiring total focus and a cheerful demeanor. I have none of that in me right now. But with my local clinic closed for a long weekend, I felt trapped. Physically, things got more complicated. On top of everything, I was fighting a nasty case of tonsillitis. A low-grade fever had me paranoid. Was it from the infection or a sign of something worse, like retained tissue? People in the comments, especially one woman who'd been through it, warned me about the risks of infection. Her advice was a lifeline. My fever spiked later that night to over 101 degrees. That was the final straw. I went back to the ER, just for peace of mind. What would you have done in that situation? Would you have seen his actions as grief or as something more selfish? I'm genuinely curious to hear different perspectives in the comments below. The unraveling. A couple of days after my first post, I provided an update. I should have been clearer initially. His reaction was a shocking, out-of-character departure. For 7 years, he'd been my caring partner, a good father. The only red flag was a bizarre incident where he violently destroyed an accent chair I'd assembled myself, jumping on it to prove I'd done it wrong. He'd been under severe work stress then, and I'd urged him into therapy, which he did. My family adored him. I wasn't questioning if he was the jerk in the scenario. I knew he was. I was questioning if my harsh label, disgrace, went too far, considering he was grieving in his own way, under work pressure, on his birthday. The scan confirmed I'd passed everything. My tonsillitis cleared. Physically, I was recovering, but I left him. My son and I went to stay with family in another state. When I told him I was leaving, the man I thought I knew vanished. He became physically aggressive, trying to stop me, his hands going around my throat in a terrifying act of domination. He screamed that he would kill himself if I left. My mother intervened and we got out.
The final act. I went no contact. About 2 weeks after we left, he was found dead in our old home. The storm of emotions is indescribable. Anger, devastation, a terrible, gnawing guilt, and a shameful sliver of relief. If I hadn't left, would he be alive? Perhaps. But I also couldn't be certain that my son or I would be. The statistics, as people online had urgently educated me, are clear. A partner who chokes you is a partner who is exponentially more likely to eventually kill you. Finding solid ground. It's been months now. This is my final update. I logged back in and saw so many kind messages, so I want to say thank you. 6 months ago, I was a shell. Today, I am healing. I'm in regular therapy and on medication for anxiety, which has been transformative. The process has helped unearth so many other subtle patterns of control and abuse I'd normalized. My son, now 3, is thriving. We're near my family. I'm even buying a house here. I will never allow myself to be isolated again. I've cut contact with his mother and sisters. My therapist suggested that his final act was, in many ways, the ultimate expression of abuse, a final punishment. I'm learning to live with that knowledge without letting its weight define me. I'm looking into volunteering with a domestic abuse organization. The strangers who reached out to me in my darkest hour, quoting those chilling statistics about choking, may have saved our lives. If I can do that, for even one other person, some light will have come from all this darkness. Disclaimer. This narrative is based on a true story shared online, but all names, locations, specific identities, and certain situational details have been altered to protect privacy and for creative adaptation. The events are presented for narrative purposes.